Welcome to the DOGE Diaries, how we are going to cut government spending. So we've got this DOGE thing, right?
The Department of Government Efficiency. Yeah, it's Elon and Vivek's brainchild, supposed to be a lean, mean cutting machine.
Right. Outside the usual bureaucracy, advising the White House, working with the OMB, no congressional approval needed, which is interesting.
Less red tape, I suppose. Though advising, that sounds a little toothless, doesn't it? Like, pretty please, Mr. President, cut some spending?
Well, they've got Comer and Green on their side. House Oversight Committee, remember? They're going to be pushing DOGE's recommendations hard, especially Green.
Oh yeah, Green, I can see that. A subcommittee dedicated to, what was it, rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse? Sounds right up her alley.
Exactly. And Comer wants to be the main pipeline between DOGE and Trump. So it's not just advice, it's a direct line to implementation, supposedly.
We'll see how that plays out. So what's the grand plan? Just cut everything?
Well, they're talking about slashing regulations, restructuring agencies, the usual suspects.
Yeah, usual suspects. Like those ever work. It's always cut, but somehow the budget keeps growing.
They're also emphasizing an entrepreneurial approach, whatever that means. Like run the government like a business?
Oh, that's a new one. Government isn't a business. It has different priorities, different responsibilities. You can't just fire everyone who isn't making a profit.
I mean, they are talking about eliminating waste and fraud, which, nobody likes waste.
Sure, eliminating waste sounds good, but waste is often in the eye of the beholder. What one person sees as essential, another might see as wasteful. It all depends on your priorities.
So DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, sounds like a meme, but it's apparently a real thing.
Yeah, Elon and Vivek's latest project. Outside the usual government structure, they say, advising the White House, working with the OMB. No congressional approval needed. Interesting.
Advising? That sounds, I don't know, a bit weak, doesn't it? Like suggesting, hey, maybe you could, cut some spending.
Well, they've got Comer and Green in their corner. House Oversight Committee, right? They'll be pushing DOGE's recommendations pretty hard, especially Green.
Oh, really, Green? I can see that. What's that subcommittee she's on? The one about rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse? Right up her alley.
Exactly. And Comer wants to be the main pipeline between DOGE and Trump. Direct line to implementation, supposedly. We'll see. So what's the grand plan here? Just cut everything?
Slashing regulations, restructuring agencies, the usual. Oh, and an entrepreneurial approach, whatever that means.
Entrepreneurial approach. Is that like running the government like a business? That's a new one. Government isn't a business. Different priorities, you can't just fire everyone who isn't making a profit.
They are talking about eliminating waste and fraud, which nobody likes waste.
Sure, but waste is subjective, right? What one person sees as essential, another might see as wasteful. It all depends on your priorities, your values, the whole 9 yards.
So this DOGE thing, it's all about streamlining government, right? Cutting the fat, so to speak.
Yeah, that's the idea. Identify waste, fraud, all that jazz. Cut regulations, restructure agencies, the whole shebang.
Eliminating waste and fraud. That sounds good in theory, but how do you actually define waste? What one person considers essential, another might see as, wasteful, right?
Exactly. It's all so subjective, and who decides? That's the tricky part. DOGE, apparently, which is interesting to say the least.
And this entrepreneurial approach, what does that even mean in the context of government? Running the Department of Defense like a startup? I'm not sure I follow.
Yeah, that one's a head-scratcher. Government isn't a business. It has different goals, different responsibilities. You can't just focus on the bottom line. There's more to it than that.
Right. It's about serving the public, providing essential services, not necessarily turning a profit. Though, efficiency is important, of course.
Sure, efficiency is important, but sometimes you have to spend money to save money, or to achieve important social goals, like investing in education or infrastructure. Those might not generate immediate profits, but they're crucial for the long-term health of the country.
So how does DOGE propose to actually implement these changes? They're advising the White House and the OMB, right?
Yeah, advising, which let's be honest, sounds a little toothless. Pretty please, Mr. President, cut some spending? I mean, will anyone actually listen? That's the million-dollar question.
Well, they do have Comer and Green on their side, supposedly, pushing DOGE's recommendations hard, especially Green. She's all about rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse, remember?
Oh yeah, Green, I can see that. But will that be enough to actually make a difference? I mean, government is a massive, complex beast. It doesn't change easily, even with Elon and Vivek and Marjorie Taylor Greene cheering from the sidelines.
Right, right. So it's not just about, giving advice. It's about having a direct line to Trump through Comer to actually do something, implement these changes.
Yeah, Comer and Greene, the dynamic duo of government efficiency, I suppose. It's a bit of a strange pairing, isn't it?
Well, they both wanted to cut spending, right? Eliminate waste, fraud, abuse, all that.
Sure. But their approaches, I mean, they're pretty different, aren't they? Comer's, I don't know, more traditional maybe? While Green is, well, Green.
True. But having them both on board, I mean, that gives DOGE some serious clout, right? Especially with Comer chairing the Oversight Committee. They can actually, make things happen.
Yeah, maybe. But this whole DOGE thing, it still feels, I don't know, a little gimmicky, like a reality TV show or something. Department of Government Efficiency. It sounds, I don't know, made up.
I get what you mean. But hey, if it works, right? If they can actually cut waste and streamline government, I'm all for it.
I guess we'll see. But I'm skeptical. Government is complicated. It's not like a business. You can't just slash and burn and expect everything to be fine. There are consequences.
Hopefully, DOGE has considered those consequences. And with Comer and Green leading the charge in Congress, maybe they can actually navigate those complexities and achieve something meaningful.
We can only hope. Well, listeners, that's all the time we have for today's episode of the DOGE Diaries. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and stay skeptical.
And from me, it's goodbye and good night.
Good night.